This is the tutorial for installing VirtualBox with CentOS and Kali Linux images. To install this software, you will require at least Windows version XP. Anything higher should work. If you're using a Macintosh, Macintosh OS 10.5 or greater is required. You'll also need 2 gigs of RAM and at least 10 gigabits of free hard drive space. Thank you. The images for VirtualBox, CentOS, and Kali Linux are quite large. They've been provided as links on our e-learning site. To begin, we'll click on the URL for Download Oracle VM VirtualBox. I've displayed this in the image above. Please click here now. Thank you. Now you've brought up the VirtualBox download page. Looking at the window above, you'll see where the diagram advises you to click for Windows. You will also see where you might click if you're installing this on a Mac. Please click here now to download the software. The software will download and the page will work best using Internet Explorer or Chrome. Thank you. Please click where indicated below. This shows that the software is downloaded and is ready to install. This example uses Google Chrome. Microsoft Internet Explorer works somewhat differently, as do other browsers. To install this software, you will need to make sure your computer has full administrative privileges. If it does not, you may have difficulty and you may have to consult with somebody who owns the computer or who uses it. But click here to install the VirtualBox software. Thank you. The Welcome Setup wizard will now appear once you click this icon from Chrome. This begins the installation process. Please follow the prompts on the next several images and slides to complete the setup of VirtualBox. This is pretty self-explanatory. Thank you. On this screen, please accept all the default settings and simply click Next. Thank you. On this screen, creating a shortcut to the desktop or creating a shortcut for the quick launch bar is completely up to you. I would definitely register the file associations. That should not create any conflict, but the first 2 checkboxes are up to you. Thanks. This screen indicates that your network connection on your computer will be temporarily reset while this installs. This is necessary. If you're doing any kind of downloads, you might want to let them complete, or you might want to abort them before completing this next step and saying yes here. After clicking yes, you'll be brought to this screen. Simply click Install to begin your installation. This screen indicates that your installation is complete. Checking this box and saying Finish will launch the software. If you uncheck this box and say Finish, the software will not launch, but the installer will exit and you will be complete. You've now successfully installed VirtualBox 5.0. Thank you. If you've chosen to open VirtualBox, please close it now. Again, please close VirtualBox now and return to the e-learning page. Looking at the picture in front of you, you'll see where the diagram points for you to click. This will allow you to download the virtual appliance for CentOS that's used with this textbook. Please click here now. Thank you. Once you've come to the Wiley page for the Student Companion site, you will see a link for the virtual download, or the virtual machine. Please click here to download the CentOS image. Thank you. The VirtualBox download is very large, being at least 2.5 gigabits. I've had trouble downloading it in the past, but it will download successfully. It's at least 2.5 gigabits, like I said, so it may take some time. When it's downloaded, double click on it This will open up VirtualBox and begin the installation process. Thank you. Now the VirtualBox virtual appliance has come up and it's beginning to begin the importing process. Simply click Import to load and add the CentOS operating system in as a virtual appliance in your console. Thank you. The screen will appear like this once the import is completed. With VirtualBox running, we want to make sure that PAE is selected for the new CentOS virtual machine that we've just installed. To do this, the machine is powered off currently. Highlight the export V11. This is your virtual machine that we've just added. So in the left pane, highlight export V11. Once this is done, there'll be an orange gear in one of the toolbars. Click this. This will bring up the system settings. With the system settings up, click on System. This is located where step 3 is on the diagram. With System clicked, you now want to select the Processor tab as specified in step 4. As you can see, it says that there's up to 8 processors for this machine and 4 of them are available, or it looks like 3 of them are available. My computer has 8 processors. This is done during the installation process. If your computer has only 4 processors, you'll likely see 4 processors here. This is just something else to understand. You have the option to change this. I would recommend leaving it as set. However, you do want to be sure that PAE is selected as it is in step 5 here. If not, you'll have a CPU error when you go to launch the VM and it will be unsuccessful. So mine was installed by default, but make sure that this install PAE is checked. Thank you. The next and final step before we can start this adapter is to be sure that the network is set up correctly. To do this, we will once again highlight Export the V11 virtual machine that we've just imported. Then we'll click on the orange gear in the toolbar called Settings. Once this is selected, we will then click on Network in the left pane of the new window that comes up. This will give us a set of adapters. Normally your personal computers or your laptops will only have one adapter because you only have one network card installed. So whether that be wireless or what have you, we usually want to go with adapter 1. So select adapter 1 and then you'll have the option to choose whether it's attached to NAT, which stands for Network Address Translation, which will be a little bit more protected. It'll give it its own IP range. You'll have much better success having that computer reach out to other networks, but having other computers being able to reach into that machine will be somewhat restricted. The textbook recommends using NAT. If you really wanted to have fun with it, you could put these virtual machines on your same network as all of your other computers and phones and such. By doing this, you would select bridged connections. So I'm going to leave that option up to you. You can either select NAT, that's what the book recommends, or if you wanted to have some fun and have this computer be visible in your network so it can reach out and do more things, you would select bridge connections. Once we start working with Kali Linux, we will definitely be doing some work with bridged connections because we want to be able to look right on the current LAN that we are using and not have it act like there's a totally separate LAN where translation is going to need to occur. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm giving you the option, like I said. For the diagram here, I'm setting mine to NAT, but you could also set it to bridged connections and your computers would be seen by other machines in your network. So that's up to you. That does sound less secure. We should be keeping control of this, so that's up to you. Like I said, personally, I would like to do a bridge connection, especially with the Kali Linux. But with this one, I would probably choose NAT. Thank you. Now we're going to begin the Kali Linux install. Go back to eLearning and find the download location for Kali Linux. This is shown in the picture. Please follow this link. Thank you very much. Now the page for Kali Linux images comes up. Before downloading Kali Linux, it's very tempting just to click on the 64-bit installer under the image name. However, be sure to click on the tab saying Pre-built Kali Linux VirtualBox images. Otherwise, you will download a VMware image and it will not work. VMware is a commercial grade appliance and we are using a simple desktop version of VM software. Thank you. Now that you're in the right tab, you can go ahead and click on the Kali 64-bit VirtualBox installer, or you can try and install it as a torrent. For this example, we'll go through downloading the 64-bit install. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this. It will begin downloading. It's a very large download, as I've said before. So once it's downloaded, you'll right click on the downloaded file once it's completed. Say show in folder. Once you can see it in the folder, I would drag the file to the desktop of your computer because that's the demonstration I'll be going from. This is not necessary, but it is helpful. So drag the Kali Linux file. It's going to end in 7Z, which means it's a 7-zip file, and drag it to your desktop. So again, from Google Chrome, once the file is downloaded, right click on it, say show in folder, and then proceed to drag the Kali Linux image to your desktop, and it will be stored as a 7Z file, which is a compressed format that VirtualBox software does not understand. It's specifically used with the 7-zip software, which we're going to get next, and 7-zip is a very, very useful free compression utility, so I would recommend keeping that around after this class is complete. It is useful, it is helpful, it does not take up much disk space, it doesn't take up much memory, it's a good tool to have. So make sure that you get your Kali Linux image to your desktop, because that is the way I'm going to be demonstrating this throughout the rest of this video. Thank you very much. Alright, now we're at the point where we're on the right tab. We can click on the Kali Linux VM 64-bit to begin downloading this. Again, this is all being done using Google Chrome. Once this is downloaded, you'll see it complete in the bottom of your Chrome browser. You will also notice that the extension on this is 7Z. That stands for 7-zip, which is a compression format that is really only compatible with the 7-zip software. So we're going to have to go out and download the 7-zip software. So we'll do that in the next step. Thank you. Now we will use Google Chrome and access ninite.com. That's NINITE.com. This is a wonderful free software download page where it takes all freeware software and it strips out all of the unwanted junkware and adware and malware that might come with it. This is a very trustworthy site for doing downloads, and there's quite a bit available. So we're going to use this site right now, and we're going to bring up ninite.com. We're going to look under where it says compression, and we're going to select 7-zip. After we've done that, we're going to go to step 2 on the page that says get your ninite, and that's under download and run your custom installer updater. So you can read at the top to know a little bit more about what Ninite does, but for now, under compression, click 7-zip and then click Get Your Ninite. Thank you. Click on the downloaded program in the toolbar at the bottom to begin the install process of 7-zip. Again, I can't say how much I recommend the Ninite page. It is absolutely a great service that they perform. Thank you. Now that the Kali Linux compressed 7-zip image is on your desktop, you'll notice the icon has changed. This is because 7-zip software is installed and it's now associated with the 7-zip program. To extract this, simply right-click on the Kali Linux file, choose 7-zip, and then choose Extract Files or Open Archive. I would choose Extract Files. Thank you. This is the window that comes up once you click Extract. You can go ahead and use the directory that it chooses here. Just make note of it because this is where we're going to be retrieving our .ova file from, which is the file that we're looking for. So you go ahead and use the defaults here, and this is how we will proceed. Thanks. This shows the file being extracted. This might take some time. Thank you. Now that the file is extracted and your directory is created, probably on your desktop, I told you to make note of that, you can now access this directory and double-click the Kali Linux OVA file. This will begin the process of adding it to your virtual machine, which is VirtualBox. Thank you. This screen may look familiar. This is very similar to the CentOS install that we did recently. So go ahead and import this and we'll proceed. Thank you. This process should look familiar to you. This is where we enable PAE. First, we will highlight the Kali Linux VM. Next, we will click the orange gear in the toolbar for Settings. Then we will click on System. After that, we will click on the Processor tab, and then finally we will click the checkbox to enable PAE. Thank you. This next step should also look familiar. First, we're going to highlight Kali Linux. Then we're going to click the Settings gear. Then we're going to select Network. We're going to make sure we're using adapter 1 because that's most likely going to be the adapter you have. Then, as I've discussed in the CentOS install, you're going to choose between NAT or bridged. Again, that's totally up to you. I personally think it's more fun using bridged, but NAT is how the book is going. So, thank you. Okay, so now we've got everything installed. The next step is to go through the textbook and make sure that you're able to log in successfully. So I want you to go ahead and click on your VMs in VirtualBox and just click on the image and just click Start, and they should both fire up for you. So you should start the Kali Linux and you should also start up the CentOS. So the book is going to go from CentOS beginning on page 44 through page 48. I'd like you to go through all those steps and try and log in. The login and password information is right in the textbook. Okay, and on the page that we link to in e-learning to Kali Linux, that will have the password on it. The login will be root. It does not mention that. Root is in a very important login in Linux systems and in Unix systems. We will go into root later on, but for right now, to make sure your Kali build works, log in with root, and the password for it is included on the Kali Linux page that I linked to in e-learning. So make sure those are up and running. That's the first part of your assignment. The next part of your assignment that I will be collecting is the hands-on assignment activity on page 48. So please take care of that. If you have any questions at all, feel free to get a hold of me. And good luck. Thank you.